Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney drama. I guess we're going to have dismal Disney drama in the boardroom.
Isn't it dismal Disney drama?
So Geeky's going to lead this video. We're going to talk about what's going on with the Disney board and this proxy war that they're fighting with Nelson Peltz and friends. And yeah, the most dangerous trio in Hollywood right now.
Apparently.
According to Puck News or something. Yeah.
According to Iger.
According to Iger. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Yeah, woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to shopclownfish.com, pick up a copy of Crimson Wren Volume 1 and previously on Clownfish TV. These books are shipping out daily now. They're in stock. This is not a pre-order. This is not a drill. You've got about 10 or 11 days yet to pick up a copy, and then we're going to close this up. 11 days.
10.5. I don't know.
All right, so Geeky, you're going to lead this one. I'm not feeling too well today.
No, I was sick first, and now he's getting it, but I'm the better off of the two. So I'm in charge.
She's
Grab
always
your
in
butts,
charge.
everyone. Here I come. So, yeah, there is a press release put out by the Walt Disney Company today. And if you remember, a couple months ago, we talked about how there was besides Peltz and his Trian partners, there was another group, ValueAct Capital, who wanted to go in there with Disney and everything else. But they were like, we want to be partners, though, and everything else. And now, apparently, Disney is teaming up with ValueAct, basically to try to block Peltz and friends.
Yeah.
They announced that they've reached a confidentiality agreement that enables the company to provide information to the investment firm and consult with ValueAct on strategic matters, including through meetings with the Disney board and management. And then ValueAct has extensive experience in media and tech, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to basically make this deal with them. But what's interesting is, and they talk about it here, is ValueAct has confirmed it'll support the Disney Board of Directors' recommended slate of nominees for election to the board at the 2024 annual meeting. So basically, ValueAct is going to team up with them to help them, figure out, where your ass is, because they, don't know that. But in return for them being their consultants and probably paid to do so, they will agree to whatever Iger tells them to do. Because that's what we need.
Yeah, so this is going to be really interesting because they're trying to get as much backup as they can because they're trying to hold on to those board
There's
seats.
going to be 3 board seats. And we already know that Peltz, Perlmutter, and Rasulo are all like wanting to come at it from one side. And then we have ValueAct chimed in, but they want to team up with Disney. And they'll do whatever you say, Bob. Because, having a bunch of board members and people that do everything Bob Iger says has worked out so well so far.
Yeah, so if this happens, that means nothing is going to change.
Nothing's going to change because it's going to be Iger's plan, and these are people that agree with Iger.
So they're
what's going to happen.
Stay dismal. They're going to stay dismal.
There was the one thing. And then another announcement is this Blackwell Capital are going to nominate their 3 director choices to the Walt Disney Company to take the seats to try to block Trian Fund Management. But they're another group coming in. But in their case, they're gonna offer a choice of nominees to Disney shareholders, so they can pick who you want. Like if they get in there, that the shareholders will get to vote. I mean, then one way it's kind of cool, but the other way it's kind of like,
do the shareholders know enough about who? You know what I'm saying? Like just from where I'm sitting, I'm looking at like Ike Perlmutter has Marvel experience. Jay Rasulo has decades of Disney experience. They seem like pretty good choices.
Yeah, and the thing about Perlmutter was he was in charge of Marvel for a long time, back when Disney wanted to acquire it because they wanted it because it was doing so well. He was in charge. Yeah. Now, I don't like every choice he's made.
No, he's made some stupid choices.
I don't agree. Like, I guess back in the day, he didn't want like to be female action figures, or he didn't want there to be like a Black Widow film because he didn't think anybody would go see it.
Well, okay, I can tell you what the logic was in that. People were like, he's just sexist and misogynist. No, he was in charge of Toy Biz.
No, I know that, and I understand.
Female figures didn't sell, so he's thinking movies aren't going to work.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that part. But the movie thing, though, it would have done well then. It didn't do well now, but it would have done well then. So I didn't agree with his plan there, and I understand where he was coming from. Don't agree with it. I think it's absolute bullshit that as soon as Peltz pulled his first proxy battle the first time, Iger turned around and fired Perlmutter. Then he claims that Perlmutter wants a seat because of vengeance. and because he's mad. I'm like, well, you were the little bitch to begin with, Iger. You were salty at him because he wouldn't do what you wanted, and then he sided with your rival. And as soon as he did that, you cut him faster than anything. And then what your movies are in the box office bombing like shit.
Shit bombs away. So yeah, if I were Iger and I were concerned about my legacy, knowing the mess that you were walking into, I never would have come back. I would have been like, you know what? I left on a high note. I left when Disney was doing well. It's their problem now. I'm retired. It's not like the guy needs the money. The guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, what happened was when he came back in, all he had his guard in place, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them got gone when Chapek took over and Iger stepped away completely, or they left for different reasons. So when he came back in, it wasn't like before everybody, he was surrounded by yes men and women. You know, you bend over, Bob, and I'll give you everything you want. They weren't all there to kiss his ass. So now we're trying to align the stars again to get ValueAct in there, who basically will do everything Bob Iger wants, including back every choice he makes.
Suck my Steamboat Willie, Bob.
That's right. Toot. Anyway, I'm just saying.
It's public domain.
That's
Might
right.
want to use a little mouthwash when you're done.
There's a video that's coming out soon. But no pun intended. So he had all these people in there that were like his people that would do everything he said. Well, they're not all there now. So now he's trying to scrape those people back. But I want to point out, in among the comments that were made on here, I thought it was hilarious because they said that Bob Iger offered this statement about ValueAct. ValueAct Capital has a track record of collaboration and cooperation with the companies it invests in, which is true, by the way. And its co-CEO, Mason Morfit, has been very constructive in our conversations we've had over the past year. We welcome their input as long-term shareholders. Translation, ValueAct will do what I want, and the board and I want, and will not threaten our positions. That's what they're basically saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, they're going to try to push for the ValueAct.
They know their place.
They know their place. They're going to answer to us. Whereas, Peltz and Perlmutter and Rasulo are like, this company needs a change top down. And they know what's going to happen. I'm telling you, if they get in there, I think they're going to push for Rasulo to be CEO. I don't think he might not be a bad choice either.
But right now, Iger has a contract signed. Not that matters because they got rid of Chapek, and ceremoniously.
Send him to a concert. And
he didn't get to go to the concert. It's just, something needs to change because basically you're just telling me you're just going to keep the status quo. Status quo isn't working, Disney. The status quo is not going well. The company is in the shit it's in because of Bob Iger to begin with.
Yep.
And then your board members didn't help because a lot of them are his friends, or Susan Arnold was in there. And apparently, she was likely the person that got them in trouble with Florida because Chapek wanted to walk it back and stay out of politics. And then Susan Arnold didn't want that because she was, as an LGBTQ person herself, didn't want what was going on in Florida. Even though she doesn't live there, I don't believe. Didn't like what was going on, so she told him that he had to reverse course and call them out, and because she was the chairman of the board, so that bit them in the ass really hard, and then and I think it's funny too. Before that, Iger had the board appointed new members to board seats. Okay. And we had talked about that before. They added this James P. Gorman and Morgan Stanley at the time's chief executive, Jeremy Durock, who was also in charge of the company that was doing the valuation for Hulu. If you remember, Hulu was going to be sold from Comcast to Disney, the remaining 1/3 of share. Each company was hiring a investment firm, bank, or whatever, to do a valuation of Hulu. Each company was hiring a bank or investment group to do a valuation of Hulu. So they each came at it with what they thought it was valuated at. And if it was really far removed, there'd be a third one that would meet in the middle or whatever. The person that was in charge of Comcast's valuation on Hulu, so they could see how much they could ask Disney for, was over at Morgan Stanley. And then Disney added their CEO to their board that were the new seat. I mean, I'm not saying anything went down because it could have been completely on the up and up, and that just because the CEOs doesn't mean that their company is questionable. I'm not saying that, but it looks bad.
Yeah,
it looks very, very like a conflict of interest, and they just got appointed because Iger and company appointed them. Well, now there's 3 more seats coming up for this proxy battle, and you got this Blackwell group who's going to let the board or let the investors and shareholders decide. You have Peltz, Rasulo and Perlmutter, who actually have experience in Disney, and they want to just come in and be like, Bob Iger needs called out. We need some checks and balances.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have ValueAct who's just going to do whatever Bob Iger wants. And of course, they're like, we made this great. And they put this out as a complete press release. I love this. This is a comment from Mason Morfit. What are the company's names? ValueAct Capital co-CEO and chief investment officer. Disney's the world's leading entertainment company. He just says everything that Iger always says.
Yep.
It has intellectual property, sports brands, and parks and experience. Assets in the industry. Yeah, let's look at this. They're a leading entertainment company. Not anymore. They have the best intellectual property. They ruined it. They've ruined Marvel. They've ruined Star Wars. They've ruined the last stuff. They had Pixar with Lightyear and all that stuff. They continually, step on that rake and hit themselves in the face. They had the best IP. And then we got, the new Home Alone movie. How
do you take some of the biggest franchises, biggest IP on the planet and run them into the ground in under a decade? And these are things that Disney did not create. They ran their own stuff into the ground, but not as much as Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar. These are things they acquired. Fox.
No, things that Iger acquired.
Yeah, because they didn't know what to do with them.
During his tenure, he acquired these things and destroyed them at the same time.
Yes, you can't apply the Disney magic because it becomes Disney tragic, right? And you can't apply that to these other brands, these other businesses. It doesn't work. You can't take Star Wars and try to turn it into a princess property. And that's what they are,
because the Force is female.
Force is female.
Now they got the director for the new movie going out. Finally, a woman's here to shape Star Wars. I might have to do a video on that later. I don't know.
That might be a separate video.
Yeah. I was like, have you met George Lucas's first wife?
Yeah, I know her.
I'm just saying. Clearly not. But anyway, back to this. They said that. Then they said with their latest technologies transition to digital platforms, we believe Disney can lead the media industry forward. Their latest technology transitions to digital platforms. You're talking streaming and shit. You're doing bad. You're supposed to have 215 million subscribers to 250 or 40 million subscribers by
they're like
September.
They're like 100 million short. There's no way they're going to make it.
Well, if you go to the low end, they're still like 65 million short. You're giving out free Disney dining to Disney Plus subscribers, probably with the caveat that you stay in there for the rest of the year or something. So they hit their goals. They're making deals with people in India for Hotstar to take control of Hotstar to make it successful so that they don't lose those subscribers and they can use those people to build them up, to boost them up. Yeah. They're not a leader in this industry. The only way they're leading is because they have 3 streaming platforms combined, not just the one. But even then, Netflix is still kicking your ass. YouTube is still kicking your ass. They can lead the media industry forward, not really sure how. They're talking about their theme parks and how important that theme parks are and how they have the best theme parks in the world. Come 2025, they are not. I would argue they don't now. But come 2025, they surely will not. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, Epic Universe is going to
kick their ass.
It's going to absolutely destroy them.
Plus, Universal's announced a new park probably coming in Great Britain. There's like a bunch of new parks coming. They're having a Halloween Horror Nights year-round experience in Vegas, which I can't. I'm waiting for Neon and Squid to hop on a plane and Pinky Boo to hop on a plane and go to Vegas.
We should. I want to.
You would, because y'all love the Halloween Horror Nights.
I love Halloween Horror Nights, and then we can go to the Dome too.
Yeah, because he wants to go there. Squid King does. So they're getting their butts kicked. So this is just a lot of bullshit that Iger keeps touting too, which isn't true. And then you have your people that you were there that were supporters of Disney. You're losing audiences daily between your box office bombs, which are like every movie you put out pretty much last year. Okay, that's bad. Yeah. Your insistence on doubling down on stupidity and live action remakes and these narratives and that just keep flushing down the toilet. Your Marvel shows, Star Wars shows, declining returns every time now. Every time you release a new one that doesn't do well, I'm not thinking Echo's going to do great either. If it does, it's only going to be because it's more like the Netflix versions of Marvel shows where it's more violent, and then you might gain people back from that. But overall, it's in decline. Your theme parks you're pricing out everybody for the rich. You're building all these story living communities for the rich.
Hipsters.
You made choices like charging for parking at the hotels, which was Iger. We're rolling that back to help you. You're the one that did it in the first place. Genie Plus is ridiculous. Now, annual pass holders at Orlando, if you have an annual pass, you have to still have to keep park pass reservations. Daily pass holder or daily people buy daily passes do not have to, just annual pass holders. And that's great, except for the fact that I think that they're limiting the annual pass holder spots. So there's less of you there because they don't want that unfavorable mix.
The unfavorable mix.
You know, that's what they're trying to do without, he's not stupid enough to say it out loud, but that's what they're doing. Like the people that support you the most are the ones you're going to limit the most. You keep pissing people off. We didn't renew our annual passes. I know a lot of people didn't because you're pissing everybody off. Iger needs to go. There needs to be changes made, but it needs to go back to what it was. I don't want to see it go like ridiculously in another direction either. Just you need to go back to finding balance.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, look, I don't think you can put a Band-Aid on the gaping flesh wound, the stab wound that is, you know, the Walt Disney Company at this point. Like it's bleeding out daily.
Yeah, that's why there's sharks in the water.
Yeah, sharks are in the water because they smell the blood. And at this point, I honestly think it is going to take a top to bottom realignment of the whole company, or they sell it off. And that's horrible too.
They're not going to sell it, but it's going to take a realignment. And the thing is, I'm sorry. Okay, you guys get mad when I say this. I'm not a big fan of Peltz. I know, but that being said, I don't think I'm not saying that would be a bad choice because I think Rasulo would be a great choice. I think. Yeah,
Rasulo would be fantastic.
Perlmutter, I don't like all his choices, but the facts remain the same. When Perlmutter was in charge and left to do what he wanted to do, and before Disney bought it, things were doing really well. And even when he was in charge, when Disney bought it, and that plan was laid out, he was, in charge of that when they bought it, did well. As soon as the 10-year plan ran out and they started phase 4 and pushing the shit they're pushing, that's when the movie started to fail.
Yeah, you can see where Perlmutter was involved, and he did make some dumb decisions. I mean,
that one show.
Inhumans, yeah. So what happened with the Inhumans is he basically was like, okay, Fox has the rights to the X-Men, so we're gonna table the mutants, and then we're going to push the Inhumans. But he's also notoriously cheap, so he's like, we're going to do the Inhumans as a TV show, but we're going to make sure we do it cheap. So Medusa, whose power is her, she can control her hair like tentacles. Yeah, it's too expensive. We're just going to shave her head.
Yes, which is really dumb.
Save money.
And it didn't do well. And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started out good, and then it kind of went down the shitter. I think it got a little better towards the end, but it's another one they were pushing Inhumans.
Daredevil was on his watch.
Daredevil was amazing.
Daredevil was on. So, I mean, Perlmutter's got some, but if you want to see the MCU return to form, return to what it was, he was in charge when that happened. And I think he's looking out like, oh my God, you took everything we did and you flushed it down the toilet. Yeah.
And there's no coming back from it. I mean, the rumors even are remotely true. What they're playing X-Men and stuff, you know, it's going to get bad. And I just don't think I think they need to do something. And keeping the status quo and getting Bob Iger's, new yes men and women around him is not the way to go.
No, definitely not.
So anyway, we'll see what happens. It's going to get interesting. I don't know. They'll probably block it because they're going to line literally everyone else and promise them the moon to align with them to block Peltz and company. But I think at least Rasulo would be one you would need in there.
You cock-blocked my Steamboat Willie. You bastards.
I love you. Anyway, you're going to wrap this up?
We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. I think 2024 is going to be an interesting year. So stay tuned. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net. Podcast is coming back later this year, too. Lots of Disney news, I'm sure. Talk to you later.
Bye.